Off the stage, ground level with everybody else. I thought it was important to end this way. So those of you that are still out there milling around, come on closer. This is our family huddle before we break and go back to the rest of the work that we do, the real work. This is the stuff where we get to come together and share and learn from one another and refresh and re-energize. After this, we head back out in the world to implement the things that we do, hopefully with a renewed sense of spirit, fresh ways of thinking, new friends, new models, new tools, new methods you've learned, and you can do your work better and better. I wanted to start Andy did a great job at thanking the folks at ValueWeb in Wellington. I also just want to do a shout out to thank everybody at Kauffman who've just been spectacular. Some of them have been quite invisible here as well, but where'd Andy just disappeared to all of a sudden? There's Andy. Andy, our MC for this whole thing. We have so many Kauffman folks. Just the Kauffman folks, stand up, raise your hand. Aaron Jenkins, you stand up right there. You're like, I know, I see you hesitating. Kauffman folks, this is a massive production of in so many different ways. This would not happen without all the folks behind the scenes, but also more importantly, it's you guys. You guys are the ones doing this amazing work out there. And it struck me in a lot of conversations and talking with you guys that we're out there empowering the makers, doers, and dreamers, but the people here are the makers, doers, and the dreamers empowering other makers, doers, and dreamers. And that comes with a deep sense of generosity and a deep humility for people that want to do this work. And I just wanted to say, because you probably don't get enough thank yous, but thank you for doing the work that you do. It's really, really important stuff. We are in this business, in this work, to try to transform the way we grow our economies. And I am so confident that we can do this. Human beings have done such harder things. This is doable. And the kind of stuff that we're seeing, this emergence of people doing work in different ways, empowering these people on the ground, empowering entrepreneurial activity, empowering the birth of businesses that create value and solve problems. This is happening. And it's every year that momentum builds and builds. And you guys are the ones on the ground doing it. And I've had a bunch of conversations, and it's so interesting. You know, the mayor of York, Pennsylvania, he's around here somewhere. There he is. His first hire was an ecosystem manager in his job. That was unimaginable, I think, even a couple of years ago. I met another gentleman from Philadelphia who said, I am now converted to being an activist, right? And I think that's the spirit that we bring. There you are. Thank you. Herman, right? Yeah, yep, Herman from Philadelphia. He's now an activist. I met other people who said, you know, I was so engaged in meeting folks, and I feel like I didn't get to contribute as much as I wanted to this work because I met so many amazing people throughout that. And so I think one of the things, and I heard this repeatedly, is where do we go? What do we do with all this information, all these ideas, all these people that we've gathered here today? And what we are going to do is all this information, we use this information. So we're going to harvest this information out. We're going to compile it and then share it out back with all of you. But then we use it internally at Kauffman. It helps us think, and it gives us information to move the work forward from our perspective. Everyone's been making commitments, and so we're not alone here at Kauffman. We're going to make some commitments ourselves to keeping this work alive. One thing we want to do is to, again, in the spirit that this is the work being done by those of you that are out there in the field, in the trenches, we're going to start to pull together a team of people from across this whole spectrum of work to help advise and guide us on how we deploy this strategy out. And so those of you that are interested in doing that, we're going to stay tuned. We're going to find ways for you to raise your hand and volunteer to help us out as we make this work more effective. But we need that guidance. This is actually not, again, this is not about Kauffman. This is about you guys, and we just provide those tools and that fuel to enable that to happen. So stay tuned. If you're interested in helping us shape this community, we're going to be looking for help on that. Another thing we're going to do is we're going to commit to getting a community manager, someone that can start to curate this growing community of folks, those ones in this room and those beyond the walls of this room. to help us start to guide this community more actively, because we're seeing a lot of demand for that. People want to be able to connect with each other. They want to share ideas. People want to be able to learn from another more effectively, and having someone curate that, in fact, an ecosystem builder for the ecosystem builders, is something we've been hearing a lot of demand for, and so we're going to do that, and we're going to provide that for all of you. One of the third thing we can do, and last year, some of you that were here last year, you remember that we said we're going to do 3 of these summits at least, and discover, design, and deliver were those 3. And so we've come to the conclusion that, well, we need to have another summit at least to make sure that we delivered well, and we can actually assess that we did what we said we were going to do. So we're going to commit to 2 more of these at least. So next year, 2019 and 2020 again. So we'll have discover, design, deliver, and then what the heck happened, right? And so we will assess what came out of all that great work. And then the fourth thing I'll commit to is that all this information, all your ideas, we're going to take it back, and this will actively inform the Kauffman Foundation's funding strategy and priorities internally. We don't know where that's going to lead us yet, because it's a learning process. It's where we engage with the people and the ideas that we're cultivating, and if we had a prescriptive idea of what that looked like up front, then it wouldn't be true to the work. So we're going to be looking at this and developing our own internal ways on how to use Kauffman's resources to help and support this fine work out there. So I'll just leave with this final point, which is the idea of leadership. And I think there was this thing, and Andy mentioned this earlier, but I want to restate it again, is that, and I've seen this, I've traveled a lot, both within this country and outside, and you see this now as people seem to be waiting. Generally, people are waiting for permission. They keep waiting for leaders to step up and do something for them. We've seen this in communities. We were actually in, last fall, we were in Mr. Kauffman's birth town, Garden City, Missouri, and they said, people kept asking, say, when are you going to help us get a fresh produce market? When are you going to help us build a new restaurant? And they kept asking the mayor that. And the mayor would say, when are you going to do that? And so that sense of agency, that sense of empowerment is the key. And so when you look to leadership on what to do, I would say this, which is you are the leaders you're waiting for. We are the people in this room, you're the ones on the ground that are going to do this work. No one's going to give you permission to do it. You just have to start doing it. And so that's where leadership comes from. It's not having to wait for someone to tell you it's okay to do it, not waiting for someone to give you marching orders. You just start going in and fixing the problem. And so I leave you with that note, and take that with you as we take all this tremendous work and implement it and make it real in the world. You guys brought so much of yourselves. I was touched by the spirit and the energy and the motivation of everybody in this group, and it's just so inspiring to be around this. I don't know how many times I heard people say, it's like finding the lost tribe I didn't know I had. And I think that's why we keep doing this work, and why we keep bringing these folks together. So thank you guys very much.